Hi Capricorns, and welcome to your June 2020 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky here to speak about the energies coming in for your sign in the month of June. Welcome Capricorns. Interesting time for you. You're the most popular sign of the year. I think that I've talked about Capricorn triple conjunction retrograde for everybody Capricorn year. So what does it mean for the sign of Capricorn themselves? Well, being probably the most powerful sign of the zodiac right now, having the absolute most influence over other people's lives and other people's directions and other people's thought forms as well. Really having a great deal of tasks to work through, as I feel like Capricorn energy is so taskmaster, task-oriented, trying to transform through tasks and through small projects. So I feel that it's a great time for projects for you. I think that the month of June, like no other, could show you progressing and making if you were renovating your home, or if you were trying to clean your home or trying to make changes like that, great time for that. Also great time to get help from family or to inspire your family to really help you do something. But family things for Capricorn, especially towards the end of June. I mean, we'll talk about it more next month. I might make one much more specific, like family knowledge and advice for Cancer time, because let me tell you, Capricorn's Cancer time of 2020 might just be one of the most defining periods of your entire life. Because Cancer is on the axis of Capricorn. This is the 180-degree angle. Your opposite sign is Cancer. So when we go into Cancer season at the end of June, that will activate Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, who are retrograde in your sign. This is absolutely extremely rare. The Pluto Saturn have not been together in Capricorn in 500 years. So you are officially experiencing, as the sign being represented, a transit that has not been seen in centuries. And what does it mean, Capricorn? It means that you might be absolutely loved, or you could be very resented, as Pluto and Saturn are kind of like, people either love them or they hate them, especially Pluto. But Saturn has a pretty conflicted reputation within astrology. I'm an astrologer who loves Saturn. I think a Saturn transit will absolutely, test you and give you trials, but it, so empowering too. Same with Pluto. So that's kind of the role that you might have stepped into as well, Capricorn. You might be in a position where you are testing other people, where you are making other people's lives a trial. So this is not every single Capricorn, but I want every single Capricorn listening to this to really think about the people who are most important in your life and the people who you love the most. And really ask yourself for a second, am I making their lives a trial? Okay. And if you are, and if you feel that that's true, good job. Okay. This is interesting. So we have Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter in your sign. Any of the difficulties that you cause to another person, and I'm going to have to make this clear. It's kind of a good thing. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that Capricorns can just go and be horrible to people and make all kinds of bad decisions, and that's a good thing. I'm more so meaning about the sort of indirect presence with people that can become an issue. So you're talking to a loved one, for example, and you're just sort of talking about the things that you want in life, or the things that you want to get better about, or what you'd like to accomplish. And by speaking of that, there's a trial introduced into the person that you're speaking with of, will they help you? Will they not? Will they do all these things? This is a good example. Now, of course, obviously, if you're just drinking, or if you're just doing all these things and causing other people's lives to be a living hell, that's not a good thing. I'm trying to make this very clear. But it might feel really hard for this entire summer, actually, to feel like relationships are very light, okay? Or to feel like there's not some amount of contention or resentment. And if you feel that way, Capricorn, as I'm sure all of you can resonate with it to some degree, where is the understanding at from other people? Why can't people understand that things are not so easy for you either? I feel very disappointed in this, and in not just the other signs, but in humanity. Right now, this is not a word that I typically use, the word disappointed, but I feel disappointed in people's lack of understanding about the certain situations that other people go through. I think that people have pointed fingers at you, Capricorn. It's not that you're perfect, and there's Capricorns who are great heroes and Capricorns who are great villains, just like every single zodiac sign. We cannot group one zodiac sign into a collective. We can group them into a collective, but it's not absolute. So everything's with a grain of salt, Capricorn. I'm not gonna, give any more caveats, but I'm sorry that you're maybe being antagonized a little bit at this time. And if you're being antagonized, or if you feel like you're not really connecting well with people, it is time to look back at why that's the case. Maybe a few years ago, 2014, 2013, around then, maybe there was something that was not pretty that you were doing, okay? Not every Capricorn, but some. And now you can really repent. I know we're getting into some deep, deep terms here, Capricorn, but what a great time for a repentation from Capricorn. Only for the things of the past, because I kind of feel like for the majority of Capricorns, there's a certain identity that you've built or that you've constructed, and people are really adhering to that. And this is an old one. And the thing is you've changed. You've had Pluto in your sign for the last decade. You have to understand, if you don't know much about astrology, not every single person ever even experiences Pluto being in their sign. Pluto takes, anywhere from like 10 to 30 years to go through a sign. So we can only ever experience Pluto through 4 or 5 signs at the most throughout like a long lifetime. It's usually for some people even like only 2 or 3. So to be born and to incarnate during a time where you have a Pluto-Sun conjunction says that you incarnated with a sort of karmic direction of having a complete destruction in your life to rebuild and transform 100 times stronger. Pluto isn't in your sign for that much longer, Capricorn. We've got, I think, till like 2022 or 2023. So it's still quite a bit more time. But let me tell you, there's a certain astrologer, I can't remember her name. She's like an old traditional astrologer who talks about how we become familiar with a certain transit. If I remember her name, I'll put it below, but I really don't remember. I've read this in a book before, though. We become very familiar with what a transit represents after we've had the hit, 2 or 3 times. So by now, Capricorn, you're very familiar with what Pluto in Capricorn represents. So if you've not been into astrology for too long, you're familiar with what your life has been trying to teach you since about the time of 2008. Okay. It should start to be quite familiar. And it's on its last leg, it's like the last few chapters of this long story. And let me tell you, Capricorn, why June is so important for you. And this is going to end up being a long reading, but June is so important for you, Capricorn, because you are preparing for July. Okay. And July is probably one of the most pivotal defining times of your entire life. And for some of you, that's just going to be comfortable and easy because you've done the work, you've made the infrastructure, you've known what was coming. But June, Capricorn, please do not beat yourself up too much. It's one thing to repent for what you know that you've done wrong, as all people have committed errors in their lives. It's not to single you out, but there's some amount of destruction here, okay? And there's some amount of funereal energy here as well. What does that mean? That means that there's an ending approaching. And, it might still take a few years. Pluto takes a long time. But this is sort of that definition point of how am I going to end? How am I going to finish? How am I going to, do this or that? And you're dealing with some heavy, heavy things. And not in vain are these things coming through. Let's talk about your week to week really quickly, Capricorns, and I will be putting together an extended reading for you over on Patreon, and we'll look into some great energy for you. I already see actually Ace of Pentacles coming up. I'll just kind of tease it out. So there's still going to be some really cool, great things coming in for you guys, no matter what. But week number 1, Capricorns, you guys have a Page of Cups rooted down by 8 of Cups. So 2, emotionally transformative energies coming in, which makes me really happy to see for you guys, because you've been in an emotional momentum for a really long time. And here is a time in the first week of June where you can actually connect with that person, okay? Really great ability to inspire emotional motivation, okay? Really good ability to move on from past pain or past trauma. Also not a bad time to apologize. Again, I'm feeling a repenting, apologizing energy from you. I'm not saying that all of you even need to do that, but if you've needed to do that, or if that has felt, like you've been feeling like, okay, I need to make amends, that would be a great time. I also sense moving on from something and moving on from a certain pattern or transforming a certain pattern that's been long running. So rebudgeting yourself, becoming cleaner, becoming more purified. What do I mean by cleaner? I mean like really keeping things tidy, really keeping things clear. Pluto in Capricorn, I think for a lot of Capricorns, has made things like pretty messy in some ways, whether that's a messy home or a lot of material things accumulating around you and making things really heavy. I could see like donating or giving things away there to make yourself feel lighter and to make yourself feel more emotionally youthful. So a lot of youth emerging, and you can really reconnect with somebody at that time. So fixing a relationship with a child or a parent, perhaps, fixing and when I say child, I mean like I'm more so feeling like adult kids. So for those of you who have kids who are adults, and there was any estrangement, you could see solutions to that coming, and how incredible. And also for those of you who have like quite elderly parents as well, you could really fix up some of those relationships too. Also with long-running marriages. So just anybody who's been in your life for a really, really long time, I'm talking like 10 plus years at least, you can fix those relationships here if you really wanted to. Okay, week number 2, 3 of Swords rooted down by 6 of Swords reversed, Capricorn. I almost have to whisper before I lose my voice. I've been recording a lot of readings. So we have to make changes sometimes with how we cope, with how we move on, with how we make changes. Pluto is the most transformative, change-oriented planet. Capricorn is the most conserving, status quo-oriented planet. So to put them together has made a lot of sequences about keeping things the same or changing them, So anyway, Capricorn, long story short, week number 2 of June is about understanding, do I change or do I keep things the same? How do I want to move forward? Also trying to understand an ending or trying to understand a heartbreak. So, you could even heal a heartbreak that happened like 30 years ago. You could even, finally understand or get closure or relieve a certain trauma that's really old. And also you can feel that there are new ones that come in, as 3 of Swords is actually more pointing to like, very immediate, sudden feelings of lack or misunderstanding. Basically, it's like sort of lifting the veil, and it's sort of showing these more sensitive parts of you. So yeah, not bad for a Capricorn to have like identity insurance right now, honestly. To feel safe. And what's making you feel safe as well? What's making you feel like sturdy? Is it the savings account? Is it the relationship? Is it the job? Is it your health? Health is probably best, honestly. A lot of things have accumulated for you, more so than any other sign. You've had things accumulate, material, jobs, connections, all these different things. And I feel that it's revealing, like there's a revealing energy with it, like where people can kind of see it, or there's like a leaking also of like these very innate parts of you. So people might really get a glimpse in to your life, like what it's like to live this lifestyle, or what it's like to live in this way. So I know that it feels like maybe a bit of an imposition for you then too, but it's almost like certain things need to be seen. Things need to be aired out during that time. So great to keep the windows of your house open, or to keep the, things really safe, really connected, really keeping things safe, but also not being afraid to show what is like necessary for your health as well. So understanding what needs to be seen and what doesn't, okay, is an interesting thing for you then too. Week number 4, you have 2 of Cups rooted down by 9 of Wands reversed. So certain relationships have to evolve, Capricorn, For some of you, there's a divorce to be had. For some of you, there's a marriage to be had. For some of you, there's, a parent-child relationship that's still, like the child is actually like 30, but the relationship is still going on as if they were 7. There's an evolution of relationships. It's not quite coming through in the 4th of June, but I would not doubt that July of 2020 really pushes it through. So try to not get sad about it, okay? Try to not get too overwhelmed about these evolutions, these changes of the times, because it's beautiful. And to see your own age or to see your own progression could be one of the most rewarding things in the world. Really looking at yourself in the mirror, really seeing who's looking back, and finding beauty and finding connection in that Capricorn, finding beauty and connection in the totality of what you're going through, instead of trying to enforce some kind of reality that's not here anymore. So reality check for Capricorn, and tears of joy perhaps as you start to see how much better it might be than you thought. And the release of certain old built up pains, that aren't suiting you anymore. Let it out to the universe. I like to sometimes, if I'm feeling heavy emotionally or energetically, like it feels like a blackness to me. So what I'll imagine is like at the chakral points is just like that black energy coming out, and then just releasing that and letting it go elsewhere. That could very much benefit you, Capricorn. Thank you so much for being here, Capricorn. I'm going to put together a quick extended reading on Patreon for you. Let's see how we're getting to Ace of Pentacles here. We'll get a central theme and we'll get 2 supporting themes. And thank you so much for being here. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you're new. And let me know how you thought of the video with a quick comment and some feedback. I would love that. And anyway, Capricorn, thank you so much. I'm wishing you so much love and light. You are an incredible sign, and people will see you for your value if you can just release what needs to not be here anymore. So thank you so much, Capricorn. We'll talk soon. Much love. Bye.